We're here at Zweli's Kitchen, of course, in Durham, North Carolina. It is the countdown to kickoff, the fourth countdown to kickoff. It is presented by Harlem Beer NC. Of course, thank you to those watching at bigsportsnc.com, bigsportsnc.com. Also, big shots out to Greater Raleigh Sports Authority, or Authority, that is, Greater Raleigh Sports Authority. We thank them for their sponsorship as well. So we're going to get this thing started. And, of course, my next guest, Adrian Jones, is no stranger. He's to having been part of these deals, and very glad to have him in the building in his fourth season as the head football coach at Shaw. What's going on, Coach Jones?
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Glad you could kind of come out. So you had an opportunity even before you got here to be over at North Carolina Central at sort of at their football camp that they're having. And you and Trey Oliver, who's the head coach at Central, go back a very long way. Kind of talk about that and sort of being a part of that.
Well, me and Trey actually came into school before Trey, but we played 4 years together. We were roommates in college, and he was my best man in my wedding. So we were pretty tight.
2018, kind of talk about that. The Bears went 5-5. You were 4-2 in conference play, but the thing about it, you started the season off 1-4, so you won 4 of your last 5 ball games.
Well, we matured a whole lot. 5-5 is a good record. I think hadn't been used to winning. We're trying to change the program around, but those guys got used to winning and saw what it felt like, and sky's the limit for us.
What was it about year 3? That was your third year. Maybe had some struggles. And a lot of times that happens when you're coming in as a new coach. You're trying to kind of put your stamp in the program. Why was year 3 so successful as opposed to the first couple of years?
Well, when you're putting your stamp on a program, it's usually about a 3-year process. And pretty much the guys that we brought in were our guys that we recruited, and they bought into what we were trying to coach. So those you got Devon Hunt, who came in as a freshman. Been a starter for 3 years. He was our leader, and then a couple other guys, Benny Kasemi, was our kicker. So a lot of guys that we bought in as freshmen played 3 years, and they knew what we wanted and just buying into the system.
Spring. So talk about spring. How did spring football go this time around?
Spring football was by far our best spring this year. All our offensive linemen are back. Been talking about it. That's going to be our strong point. We have not only the starters, but we have depth behind those guys. And the last 3 years we've been at Shaw, we had a lot of good football players, but the depth was the issue. This year we have a lot of depth, so if somebody goes down, it's a next man mentality.
Let's talk about Devon Hunt, because he was a box-to-row All-America last year, guy that led the CIAA with 98 tackles. Talk about his growth. I mean, even as a freshman, he was the CIAA's Rookie of the Year. This guy has continued to grow.
He is an excellent football player. Devon is from a football background. He's from Richmond County. That's big football. He came in, knew what he was doing. It's just a football Gillespie. He loves to hit people. He can run, and he's coached very well. Coach Wiggins is his defensive coordinator, and what Coach Wiggins tells him to do, he does. And he's just an excellent football player. Not only that, an excellent kid outside of football. He doesn't do a lot of talking, but he leads by example.
How have you sort of seen, how has he, because it's like every year he's gotten better. So what are the expectations for him in 2019?
Well, I can tell you his expectations is to lead Division II in tackling. That's his expectations. And he also wants to win a championship and actually want to win a national championship. Everybody wants to win the CIAA, but we're thinking above and beyond that. And he's one of those guys that speaks that each and every day. And he also wants to play in the NFL, so he has a good chance. A couple of NFL scouts have been to look at him, so look forward for him to having a good year and staying healthy.
Having won, let me switch gears a little bit before we talk about some of the other personnel. Having won a state title as a high school coach, how has that helped you in terms of recruiting guys from across the state, and maybe even more specifically from Durham, to come to Shaw?
It's been pretty easy because, like you said, we won a state championship. A lot of the coaches in the area, we're good friends. So when I walk in the building, we had a friendship 7 years ago. So and that friendship has still been going on. So we'll walk in the building. Those coaches trust me with their kids, and they know that they're going to get taken care of. So it's a blessing. And we got like 5 guys from Durham this year, which we've been struggling trying to get those guys, but we got some good quality football players from this area.
Talk about that recruiting class. I don't remember, the number sort of kept climbing as the days went on. It seemed like you were at 14 at one time. I think you may have more than that, but talk about that recruiting class for this year and maybe some of the guys that can come in and help you in 2019.
Well, we did a good job of recruiting offensive linemen and defensive linemen. We got a big offensive lineman. We call him Big Zach. He's from South Gwinnett in Atlanta. Is one of those guys that don't belong at Shaw University. He's that good, but we're fortunate enough to get him. John Barnes, wide receiver out of Clayton High School. He's one of the top receivers in the state of North Carolina. Jalen Davis from Hereford County, 6'4" corner, can run like a deer. Got Florida, who was at Southern Durham High School, who was an athlete. He committed to ECU. And ECU took the commitment off when the new coach came in. We were fortunate enough to pull him in. But there's many guys that we had. We had over like 25 guys. And out of those 25, probably 4 or 5 that are D1 AA football players.
Adrian Jones, again, in his 4th season as the head football coach at Shaw, joins us here on the countdown to kickoff. So who's your quarterback? Who's going to be your quarterback in 2019?
That's a good question. Donal Woodruff, who's been in our program for 4 years, he's actually started for us against Malone. Our starting quarterback got hurt, and he came in and threw for 300 yards that game. But he's been a backup the whole time. He's going to be the trigger man, but there's a guy right behind him named Torian Campbell who transferred from Kentucky State, who actually played at Kentucky State. 6'3", about 240 pounds. Reminds you of Leftwich. That's what we call him. But right now we're gonna hang our hat on Vidal, but Torian is right behind him.
Yeah, no question about it. So So I know you had McLean as your running back last year. He transferred in. It's a graduate student, transferred in from North Carolina Central, where he really excelled. Yeah. So who's that guy? Who's going to tote the rock this year?
It's going to be a running back by committee. We have Elijah Mitchell, who's one of the top running backs in the state last year at South Granville. We had him at defensive end last year. He came to me in spring, said, "Coach, I really want to play running back." 6'2", 230-pound running back and can run. You got Florida, who's from Southern Durham High School. You got not Sean Gibbs, but Gibbs, who's a running back out of the mountains. Pretty good kid. He actually came in January. He graduated early, and also have Andre Brandon, who's from Baltimore. So we got a committee of running backs. Tevin Perry hurt his knee in the spring. He was going to be our starter. Right now he's been doing some rehab, so hopefully he'll be able to come back. But if not, he'll be back next year.
So I guess even if whoever the quarterback's going to be, I mean, now Daniel Bender and Marquise Gorham come back for you. So how big is that to have those wide receivers who were pretty big time for you in 2018?
I mean, they were 2 of the best receivers in the conference. Daniel Bender, who's going to be a junior, Marquise Gorham is probably the most dangerous receiver in Black College. He showed himself at A&T, and he's also done it here at Shaw University. But there's a couple other guys. You know, we got Cavante Moses, who's all conference tight end. We can put him out at some receiver as well. He's a big body. You got Elliott Dangerfield, who played quarterback in high school but played wide receiver for us last year. He's a 6'4" receiver, and we expect big things out of him. But like I said, the depth is amazing. Look forward to the sky's the limit for Shaw football.
A couple of other guys on defense. I mean, we talked about Devon Hunt, but then Kevin Sherman also returns for you. Talk about the expectations for him and then some of the other guys we can look for big things from in 2019.
Kevin Sherman is that guy that you want on your football team in the secondary. Devon Hunt is the quarterback for the linebackers, but Kevin Sherman is that next guy we look forward to getting the defense lined up. He had a pretty good year this year. We had a kid by the name of Jameer Jones who came in, graduated early, and came in the spring and took a starting position at corner. So, you know, that's big for a freshman to come in and do that. And, you know, that's one of the positions that I expect the best out of him. He came in, he didn't lose a beat. But several guys, our defensive line, all intact. We did a little changing at the cornerback position, but pretty much we're seasoned at defense, and Coach Wiggins gonna get them guys flying around.
Last 2 thoughts. Again, I've said this to you many times, but one of the things that I thought I mean, I thought the world of when you took the head coaching job at Shaw, and at the introductory press conference, Jerry Mack was there, who was your head coach, or who you were the assistant coach under at Central, was at that press conference. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. He's, of course, now at TCU. How often can you talk about that, him being there in that moment, but also, how often you talk to him as he's now, I guess, offensive coordinator at TCU?
Oh, that was big. Like you said, you don't see that much. And when they walked in the building, they let me know that was a true friendship.
So you didn't know he was coming?
I did not know he was coming.
Okay.
He did ask what time it was, but I wasn't thinking he was going to be there.
Right.
But that lets you know it's a true friendship. We talk like once a week. We talk about football. We talk about family. We're all over the place with it. But he is really a genuine guy, and the success at North Carolina Central was the reason, he was the head coach there. He's a great man, and, he got some good things going on. But look forward to the football season. Really want to win a championship. The one thing I was telling my wife today is what it feels like that 2013 season when we won the championship, that we're fast, we're physical. If we stay healthy, we got a good chance.
And lastly, the camaraderie. Can you speak to sort of the camaraderie you have with these coaches in the CIAA? And then, of course, Trey Oliver's going to be here a little bit later on, the head coach at Central.
We're all close. We might not talk a lot, but when we get together, it's a family reunion. We was down in Roanoke, and we all joking, hanging out and stuff. I messed with Coach Hayes a little bit. This time I didn't talk any junk at the press conference. I did pretty good without talking junk. Very respectful this time. But Coach Massey, we go back to North Carolina Central when we were both coaching there and playing DB at North Carolina Central. I always wanted to be better than him. So I looked at his stats.
Were you?
A single season interceptions I were, but I can't do what he played in the NFL. I did.
True.
Yeah.
Give it up. Adrian Jones, the head football coach at Shaw, joining us here on the Countdown to Kickoff. Good luck to you, Coach.
Thanks. Have a good one.
All right, so we're going to step aside, take a break, come back. The next coach that's going to join us, Richard Hayes, the head football coach at Fayetteville State, going to join us. We are live from Zwelly's Kitchen here in Durham. It's the Countdown to Kickoff on Big Sports Radio, NC.com.